Ladies and gentlemen, now in today's video we're going to be having a little bit of a play about with the 6-star version of Mysterio. So we got this dude at rank 1, we're not taking him up to rank 2 anytime soon, and also we do not have the use of his awakened ability, and the awakened ability gives you more gas every single certain amount of seconds, depending on his signature level. And I think the awakened ability, especially after playing today, is a really nice awakened ability to have, because it allows you to get kind of 2 mega poisons off in longer fights. But even without the awakened ability, he is still a pretty hard-hitting champion once you get into the special 3, provided in most scenarios that you can poison the opponent if you really want to get the most damage out of Mysterio. And the standard rotation, if it is your first time watching Mysterio gameplay to get the damage, is get to the special 3, have 3 gas ready so you can activate Frenzy Gas with an increased duration, and then you can deal some crazy damage. Because the time window of Frenzy Gas is somewhat limited as well, you usually want to parry and then special 3, just to make sure your opponent is stunned. Then you can charge in with a combo or a couple of hits, because after this your goal is to generate 3 more gas so you can apply a mega poison on the opponent, and if you can do that, it's going to take for 3,000 per tick, so that's almost 6,000 damage every single second. So there is so much damage off a mega poison after the special 3, but here we go for a double medium, get another parry, we go for a medium heavy there, apply the mega poison, get a very nice 15k crit on that one, boys, and then intercept with a special 1 and take that man down. So yeah, that was a pretty smooth matchup overall against Act 6.2 Stark Spider-Man there. And also a fun fact, while the opponent is poisoned, if they are a Spider-Verse hero, so if they're Spider-Man or Spider-Gwen, then they cannot evade. But that is, you know, not the absolute best evade counter out there, but it does somewhat help in those matchups, reduce the frequency of evades and help get those characters a little bit more under control. So we didn't see a single evade in that matchup, man, and it was a really nice time. But now I wanted to go for the big question next up, which is how hard can Mysterio hit against Realm of Legends Winter Soldier? It's kind of fuffed up that special 2 like evade there and just didn't get back in on time, so a little bit sloppy, man, but we're hammering in with a 5 combo, trying to generate up to the special 3 now. Now we got 3 bars of power, we're just looking to parry stun so that we can activate the special 3, enter Frenzy Gas mode, and start getting that really good damage. So after your first special 3, it becomes much easier to kind of cycle the damage and really kind of ramp up Mysterio. It's really like the first 35 to 40 hits that are always a little bit slower in terms of these endgame matchups. So right now we're hammering in those mediums, just trying to generate some more Frenzy Gas, because you generate a stack of Frenzy Gas whenever you end a combo on a medium. So here I'm just trying to parry so I can heavy. Unfortunately, we didn't get the parry. He throws a special 2. I'm hitting him with the double mediums just to try and get him to attack into me so I can parry and heavy. And there we go, medium heavy. We managed to get the poison there. So the poison overall, man, even on a 6-star rank 1, is very nice. Just under 6,000 damage every single second for 8 seconds there. So it really does add up to be about a 40 to 50k poison. And if you're playing aggressively enough, you can get 2 of these. However, Mysterio's poison, and I'm not too sure if it's bugged or intended, but it works in a really weird way where it doesn't really seem to scale with any attack. So if we're like an assassin's range, if we have some sort of attack booster, it doesn't really seem to kind of ramp up Mysterio's poison damage at all. So I'm not too sure if that's bugged or not, or just the way that Mysterio's poison individually scales. But yeah, it's just really weird, man, because bleed always scales the absolute same way. Just with attack, you know, you get more attack, you enter assassin's range, you put a boost on, that bleed damage is going to go up, but it just never seems to work like that for Mysterio, and it's a little bit odd. Even the same if you like drop below 50% and get the attack boost, I'm still getting the exact same ticks of poison. So yeah, I'm not really too sure how it works. It just doesn't really seem to scale with attack or anything to the best of my knowledge. But there we actually managed to get a second poison. That one only had 2 stacks of gas though, so it's slightly weaker than the first one. However, it's still a lot of damage, man. We've put a very big dent in Winter Soldier so far, 115 hits, and we are 75% of the way down. And you can see once you've thrown off that first special 3, by the time you're at the end of your Frenzy Gas, you're almost at like 2 bars of power the majority of the time, so it just makes it very easy to activate another special 3 and stay in that mode where you're dealing much more damage, because kind of the dead space you have with Mysterio's damage is the start start of the fight, man, the first 35 to 40 hits, and once you get into it, he's certainly a pretty enjoyable champion to play. However, a lot of his damage output as well is coming from the poison. Now, the biggest problem with poison is there are a lot of champions in this game. I think it's somewhere between 30 to 40% of all the champions in the game are just straight up immune to poison, and then you have a lot more characters like Agent Venom, Kingpin, Crossbones that can shrug off the poison as well, and then you have nodes that reduce debuff duration, make characters debuff immune. So I kind of just wish Mysterio had, if you can't poison the opponent, you degenerate them, and maybe it's a little bit less damage, like 10% or something. But yeah, there are just a lot of matchups, man, where it's just a little bit annoying that you can't poison, and this is a perfect example, Hyperion here. But in this matchup, I wanted to focus on Mysterio's power control and kind of showcase it, because when you're playing Mysterio, man, the power control is just, it's not really anywhere near as effective as you would like it to be. But today I wanted to showcase Mysterio's power control against Act 6 Hyperion, just to give you an idea of what this character is like as a power controller, because he does have kind of a passive power drain on his special 2, which lasts for as long as the buff that he has on him, so I think it goes up to somewhere between like 8 to 10 seconds. Now, Mysterio's special 2 power drain is very, very weak. You know, it doesn't make much of a dent in the opponent, but it does have this kind of passive power drain constantly over time, which prevents the opponent from getting to a special 3. So fired off in the right scenario, it can be a little bit of a lifesaver, but it's nowhere near strong enough to be a solid source of power control, at least in my opinion. If we look at this Hyperion as an example of, you know, a problematic power control matchup because of his power gain, if my power control runs out and he's got his power gain, man, mine is not draining enough that it's going to give me any sort of buffer to bait out special attack. I was tremendously lucky there that he immediately fired off the special 2 like a millisecond before he got to the special 3, or else I would have just been straight up in the bin. And one of the other really big problems with Mysterio's special 2 and his power control is that in order to utilize this, you need to use your power on the special 2 and also your gas on the special 2 as well, which means that you've got no damage output. Your damage is really, really low when you don't have this. So I kind of wish like his special 2 was just a little bit more effective at kind of reducing and locking down power, man. It'd be great if you could just shred down the opponent and keep them locked for a while, and maybe gain some of that power back if there was a way to kind of siphon that power and drain it back. I think that'd be really, really cool as well. But as it is, the special 2 is just a little bit meh, man. A little bit meh. It's not really packing too much, but I love the special 3. The damage that comes after it is a really, really good time, and I kind of messed up here a little bit, like my combo, like mid combo, I just like stopped hitting. So yeah, that was me being a scrub. We fire off the special 1 with the attack bonus and have a pretty nice finish to that fight. But in terms of specials as well, the special 1, in my opinion, is kind of just mainly a defender special. I haven't found like a good use for it, so I might be incorrect, or there might be some sort of node in the future where the special 1 is really good. But what the special 1 does is it gives you a gas that stores any damage you take, and at the end of that gas it's going to reflect it to the opponent and then heal you for 70% of the damage that you've taken. Now, in comparison to Namor, who can always do that without the use of a special or kind of building up gas and just, you know, constantly has it off the cuff, I think, you know, coming very close to Namor, just having that kind of inbuilt into his awakened ability, granted you do need him awakened, you need the signature levels, I think it does make Mysterio's special 1 look very lackluster. And a lot of people were speculating that maybe Mysterio's special 1, you could play it like you play like Electro and Heimdall together, because Electro has damage back when you hit him, and there are certain nodes like Aggression Fury, or any scenario where the opponent has like mega attack, where you can take a hit on Electro, Heimdall's going to save Electro, but then like reflect like 1,000,000 damage back. Like there's some crazy combinations of that out there, but unfortunately that does not work with Mysterio's special 1, which really does suck. So this guy, when you're playing him pretty much like 99 out of 100 times, you are just really spamming that special 3, and it's really nice to get that damage after the special 3, but I think if I'm being completely honest, I much enjoy playing some of the newer champions like Sunspot and Namor, and also Stealth Suit Spider-Man in comparison to Mysterio. I've been thinking about it a little bit, and I find Mysterio a little bit bland to play sometimes. He's very enjoyable after you got the special 3, but I think the first like 35 hits of the fight can drag on a little bit, and I guess Namor has that to a certain extent as well, but for some reason I just love Namor so much more, because in those really annoying matchups, even if you don't have your Imperious Rex, you're still reflecting damage, regenerating, and having all these little crazy interactions of certain nodes and scenarios. But Mysterio just feels very vanilla to ramp up in terms of gameplay, and I think one of the reasons I figured out why I don't like Mysterio as much as other characters is because you're really only ever using the special 3, and I think special attacks are very fun, they're very satisfying to fire off, and I think Mysterio's special attack animations are really cool, so I wish I could kind of incorporate the special 1, special 2 into the damage rotation, and it wasn't really this case of spam special 3, because I love the scenario when you're playing Namor where you get to use multiple specials. Like Sunspot is spamming special attacks all over the place, it's great fun. Stealth Suit Spider-Man, you're using like all of the specials as well, but also I think I enjoy playing Havok a little bit more than I do Mysterio, and Havok kind of has the same thing. I think it's the fact that Havok has so much damage in his special 3 that it always feels crazy to fire off, because your opponent just dies after the special 3, man. Whereas Mysterio, it's like you got to get back in, you've got to build up the gas, you got to get off that heavy, and then the heavy isn't like a big chunk of immediate damage, it's a poison over time. So yeah, I can't figure out like exactly why I don't enjoy playing Mysterio as much as other champions, but he's certainly not the worst character in the game. He's certainly very viable. If you're like a brand new player and you get Mysterio as one of your first 4 or 5 star characters, like this guy can put in a lot of work when it comes to all sorts of Act 4 content, Act 5 content, but I think when it comes to some of the deeper endgame content, the fact that you have to sacrifice the utility that Mysterio has in order to get some damage output, and that damage output being inferior to some of the Beyond God tier options and the best options out there, who can have all that damage output and also access their utility as well, is kind of going to put him a little bit in the shadow. But I think the good news is that all of the new champions are getting reviewed like 3 months after their release, so in a couple of months time we are going to know whether or not Mysterio or Stealth Suit Spider-Man are going to be buffed, and I would say Stealth Suit Spider-Man is not going to be changed at all, and I think there is going to be a bit of a change to Mysterio, not in terms of Alliance War defense, because I think he's a really good defender there, but I think when it comes to playing Mysterio, I think they might reevaluate how some of his mechanics are working, how many people are enjoying playing him. Again, he might just be a champion that is not necessarily my cup of tea, but I do feel he does need a little bit more to be a bit more of a competitive, viable and interesting character to compete with some of the other top options in the game. I think if I were to buff Mysterio, some of the stuff that I was talking about earlier, if he can't poison, he degenerates, and also when you have Frenzy Gas, it would be amazing if you had a 100% chance to miss on your heavies, just so you could very easily get those heavies off whenever you wanted to when you were in your Frenzy Gas mode. I think that would be a really nice feature as well. Maybe just a little bit more spice overall, some way for him to have power control throughout the matchup, maybe using a heavy kind of siphons a little bit of power as well, adding a little bit of beef to the power drain, maybe while they're power draining, they're power locked as well. I think that would be a good way to counter champions of power gain, which are generally some of the champions that you need to control with power draining abilities. So yeah, I think there are some small things that could be done to spice up Mysterio a little bit more, but again, in comparison to kind of a good 75% of the champions in the game, I would say Mysterio is really good, really fun to play, especially once you get to that special 3. The damage toward the end of these fights is amazing. Thinking about it as well, I'd really like to see Mysterio, when you're playing this champion offensively, because again, I think he's fine as a defender, have some sort of like Carnage style power gain, because it wouldn't be OP to like spam special 1s and special 2s. So if he had like double power gain while he's not under the effect of Frenzy Gas, I think that would be a very enjoyable mechanic just to make the champion a little bit more competitive, a little bit more viable, kind of boost his utility up. But there's honestly like so much they could do in terms of the design of Mysterio just to make him a little bit more spicy, a little bit more enjoyable to play. I'm genuinely interested to get the thoughts of the wider community on Mysterio, because I feel like he's a champion that hasn't been discussed too much. So let me know your thoughts on Mysterio in the comment section below. Do you think he needs a little bit of a buff? How would you buff him if you were going to buff him? And what are your thoughts on how he fits into the game and the tech class especially? Being a very competitive class, man, there's a lot of really good stuff in there. We got Warlock coming out very soon as well, and Warlock seems absolutely phenomenal. But already in the tech class, you've got Ghost, Starknaut, Spider-Man, Iron Man Infinity War, who's honestly so insane now, thanks to the Stealth Suit Spider-Man synergy, and also like Sentinel and Darkhawk. So yeah, there is a fair bit of competition, but I'm interested to see if Mysterio is going to have any interesting uses when it comes to the brand new variant that's being released on Wednesday as well. So yeah, we've almost got this hood down. We parry and then go for a medium heavy there. Hood is now in Assassin's range, so we go for a combo there. Nice little special one finish, and sorted, mate. So, you know, not too bad in terms of the hit counter against some Act 6 opponents today. And one more fight that I wanted to showcase, just because I wanted to test this one out for myself, was Mysterio versus Havok in Act 6, just to see if Mysterio was going to be a viable Havok counter or not. I was like, oh, you know, the special 2, it has power drain, and if we can get that, man, maybe we can control his charges, but it kind of worked exactly the opposite. And the main reason for this is that Mysterio's special 2, all of the hits are energy damage, so you're just giving Havok so many charges that it just didn't work out, man. It just didn't work out. And I think because it's a very small power drain over time instead of a power burn, I don't know if it like dissipates his charges at all. Like, it dissipated them like when we fired it off, but it's not like passively draining them all the time. You can see he's still like getting the charges even though we have the drain over time on. So yeah, it just didn't really work out, man. Just didn't really work out, but I wanted to test that one out. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy today's 6-star Mysterio level up and gameplay video and a bit of a look at my thoughts on this character, please do smash that like button. Aside from that, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day. Special 2, detonation, straight in the bin, boys. Straight in the bin.